What's up, guys? Practical Web Dev here, and today we're going to talk about how to use the Google Chrome developer tools like a pro so that you can edit your site, check things on your site, check it on mobile devices, everything that you can do. You can basically test everything without having to write, like endless lines of code and constantly updating the page to see if stuff looks how you want it to, and you can do much, much more. So we're going to get started with that. First of all, how to open the developer tools. The easiest way is to just right click and select inspect. That'll work on Windows or Mac. It doesn't really matter. You can also, if you're on Mac, I'm on Mac right now, so if you're on Mac, you can hit Command, Option, and I will bring it up. And then if you're on Windows, it'll be CTRL, Shift, I, and it'll do the same thing, Control, Shift, I on Windows. If you want to do it the keyboard shortcut way, I usually just right click. Like, I'm not a fancy keyboard guy. So the project that we're viewing here is a HubSpot landing page. This is actually a clone of the page that we make in my Practical Web Dev Complete Web Developer course. If you'd like to check that out, the link is in the description, but this is actually one of the projects that we build together that I show you how to build the design and clone it. One of the best ways that you can practice your web developer skills when you're new is by cloning actual real landing pages and websites that exist from big companies, just to show off that you can actually do professional grade work. This is one of those projects that we build. So again, link in the description if you want to check that out. So the first thing that you'll notice down here, and you can control how big your developer tools are by just clicking and dragging when you get that double arrow. The first thing that you'll notice here is we have our elements panel, and it'll basically let us click in here and view any of our HTML elements and select them. And then you'll notice that when I select stuff over here, the styles for that element pop up. So for example, if I want to go into the header, inside the logo containers, these little arrows, you click the arrows to open it up, go to the HubSpot logo, and there's its styles. Now what you can do here, see the width I have set to 114 pixels. If you just select this here, you can actually edit this style using your arrow keys. You can go up and down, make it smaller, and it'll change real time on the screen. Make it bigger, make it really big. You can test how it looks as a bigger width. So maybe you want your logo to be like 150. Maybe you want it a little bit bigger. You can, instead of just kind of guessing, you'd be in Visual Studio Code, adjusting the height and the width and just constantly saving and guessing. You can view how it'll look real time here, and then just copy and paste the width that you decide on right into your code. So it's a very helpful tool there, styling stuff in real time like that. And of course, you can do that with other stuff too. If you want to, another way that you can select elements is by clicking this arrow over here on the far left, select an element on the page. And for example, we can go to this h2.logo heading text and click that. And that's another way you can select stuff. So we have text align center. We can change it in real time. I can say text align left, it'll go left. Text align right. You can edit any style that you want and check new styles. And then none of these changes save, guys. If you just want to reset your page, you can just hit the refresh button and it'll bring you right back. Likewise, if you wanted to edit your HTML in the elements area, you could also do that. So you could literally select a whole part of your website. So maybe the whole showcase, which is just this top section. I can select that and just literally delete it like that, and it's gone. So that's another thing you can do. And again, if you accidentally broke your page, always just go ahead and refresh it. Another super common thing that you're going to do, and that we do in a lot of my web dev course and in a lot of the YouTube tutorials that I have here where we build projects, is you're always going to want to check stuff to make it mobile responsive. To do that, you go ahead and you just select this little mobile bar right here. Boom. And then it shows up here. And then you can go through all these devices. Now, by default, you're not going to have all the devices that I have. I'll show you how to add those in just a second, because I like to test mine on like every screen size imaginable, especially when I'm launching a real, website that's going to actually be out there on the internet and actually try to make some money or, do something. So you can select, this would be what this website looks like on a Google Pixel 3. So this would be portrait mode, and then you can always switch it to landscape by just clicking this up here. There it is. And then of course you could go up to, an iPhone 12 Pro. Same thing. You could even test really old items like an iPhone 5, which is just a smaller screen, 320. Okay, still looks pretty good. And then we can also look at tablets like an iPad Air. How does it look like an iPad? Pretty good. landscape. And then so you can see in landscape, some of the sections go to the desktop view because there's enough space. And then what you can do if you want to have a ton of items, because I think by default it's only going to show you a few items to select and test, you can always go down to edit, and then you can add custom devices here. Add custom device. You can add custom widths, and then default devices is here. See, I can still select a bunch more if I wanted to. If you want to test it on, look at all these phones you can test on and tablets. You just have to check the checkbox for what you want to add, and that's how you'll test other devices. So let's get out of here. You can also click the network tab, and you can purposely throttle the network down to see how your website would behave on like 4G networks, slow 4G, 3G, offline, stuff like that. If you want to see how your web page loaded on slower devices. And this works, this is just an HTML page, so it's not going to be affected by any of that. But if you have like a full stack web application, you could definitely test that. You'd want to test on different networks and stuff like that. And then you can even be like, well, what happens if it goes offline? Wouldn't matter for our page because it's just HTML and CSS. If you have JavaScript on your page, you can actually test and run it here. So this is your console, and it shows like any of the errors that your page is getting. So we're getting some errors for the YouTube videos. I don't know what that's. Failed to load some resource. The YouTube videos work, so it doesn't really matter. But let's go ahead and clear our console. And then this is where you would test your JavaScript when you're making JavaScript projects, or you can also write JavaScript right in the console. So we can just say console.log hello world, enter, and then JavaScript would say hello world. Stuff like that, but you're usually going to use this when you have JavaScript in your project to make sure everything is working. And if something's broken, the error message will show up here. Again, if you want to learn JavaScript by building small projects, check out my complete web developer course, link in the description. We build about 10 JavaScript projects, starting really small and going up in complexity, but none of them are too long or too hard, so it's great for learning. Next, we can go to the application panel, and this is where you'll see stuff like local storage. Now, what local storage is, if you don't know, it's a way that JavaScript can like temporarily save your settings in a browser so that when you reload the page, like your information will still be there. So there's no local storage on this current page that we built, but if you go to like a real website, if you go to like espn.com and we open this up, and we'll go to application, local storage, and any data here. So local storage is key value pairs. We're not going to get too into that now. You can learn that when we learn JavaScript, but it just saves like temporary stuff without using a database. It saves temporary stuff on your page and settings like that. You can also do a site audit with Lighthouse and see how fast and good your website is. So we can analyze espn.com right now. So if we hit analyze page load, this just takes a second. It'll tell you how your page is loading, if there's major errors, if there's accessibility errors and all that stuff. 19 seconds is the average time a mobile web page takes to load on 3G. So I'll just tell you random facts here, stuff like that. And then as you can see here, and this is ESPN.com, one of the most visited websites in the world. Look at what it gets for performance and accessibility and everything. And this is something that I harp on all the time, guys. Don't get caught up in the nerd language and accessibility and everything has to be the perfect best practice. No real website with real users that makes money will ever get a good Lighthouse score, almost ever. So just don't worry about it. Just make stuff work. If you get more users over time, you can update your code and upgrade it, but just push products out there, get them to the public. Nobody cares about your site, your performance score in Lighthouse. Nobody gives a damn. This is all it's BS, dude. It's just in my opinion. All right, so that's pretty much it. The last thing that I'll show you for DevTools, and one thing that is like super useful that I use a lot, that a lot of people don't know how to do, is when I want to clone a website to like teach you guys something or show you how to build something, I usually take a full page screenshot of it, and you can do that with the developer tools, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we hit on Mac, it's Command-Shift-P, on PC, Control-Shift-P, and then you'll get this run command that shows up here, and I'll say screenshot, capture full-size screenshot. So you do that, and then if we pull up what I just did, you'll see that it captures the whole entire page. So if you're trying to like clone a landing page or a website and you want to see like the whole page design, you can go ahead and do that. take a full-size screenshot, and then you can zoom in and whatnot. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. Now you know how to use the Chrome web developer tools like a pro.